Okay, so welcome to today's New Earth Masterclass, and I do apologize for the tech issues. We are here now. I'm expecting a few more people to drop in when they find the link. So let's just hope and know that everyone who's meant to be here will find the link and they will come into the room, and it's all perfect. So I'm Jenny Lyon, and I'm going to be quite effective now because we missed already 10 minutes, which is okay. We'll still have time to do everything we wanted to do. But I'm going to share a little bit the intentions of these masterclasses and why I'm doing them and who I am, etc., etc. So welcome to today. And there's one more people coming in. Good. They find the link. Welcome to today. I'm really, really happy that you found the space here today. These New Earth Masterclasses, I've designed them truly from an intuitive inspiration that I got last year, which was all about connecting in a safe space and creating a little bit of like intimacy, and a little bit of exclusivity as well, because I used to do lots of lives all the time on Facebook and things. I still do them, but I'm like, no, if you want to come and learn and be together, let's come into the Zoom room and just do it there. I felt more intuitively led to do that. So that's what I'm doing. And I think also that's a collective sort of trend, because it's a lot of noise out there. So we come in and do more intimate gatherings. So that was that. Then I also was going, okay, well, we are living in a world of duality and we're really here to master both. So understanding that we are all the things as human beings and as spiritual beings, and being able to sort of navigate that in this 3D world. And I really wanted to talk about some topics which, that's okay, Karen. I wanted to talk about some topics which I feel most people can relate to. So today is about disempowerment to empowerment. And some people feel more connected to feeling disempowered than others, obviously. And some people will feel more connected to another topic that I run. But these are all coming from a place of my own experience as well. So that's why I also wanted to share my own journey and how I've been able to transmute my programs and becoming more empowered from not being empowered at all, right? So, and also I feel like this space should be a safe space for asking questions about ascension, spiritual questions, where you are in your spiritual mission, and also allowing yourself to just ask questions about it, because there's so much noise out there, and there's also so many places to go to find spiritual teachings, etc. And I believe that there is a tribe for everyone. So my intention with this is to like create my own tribe with teaching you guys and guiding, inviting you in to step into your spiritual mission as well, fully step into it. Because one of my things that I really struggled with was to actually really own my spiritual power from the beginning a few years ago. And I can see now a lot of my clients are in this sometimes in this hesitancy about how correct is their intuition, how much can they trust what's coming through. And that confidence that I have now is something that I built up over time. So I can really see how the spiritual mission can feel a little bit hesitant to a lot of people as well. And I'm here to empower and guide all the visionary leaders to become really confident in their spiritual mission as well, so that you can ultimately change the world, because that's what it's all about, really. Good. So today I want to talk about disempowerment, and I was going to share a little bit about what I actually used. I don't even think I realized I was disempowered until I realized that I needed to change something. You know how we are just stuck in our patterns, and it's like, okay, this is not working for me. This is a bit, and then somebody tells you something about it and you go, that's me, So that was a little bit about me. So I use something called a soul contract, which is something I work with my clients. And I'm going to just show a little bit about the 10, 1, and a 9 today, which is indicating when they're in karmic position that there is a disempowerment and not saying no and not standing in your power. And it's quite common. So I'll share a little bit about that in a minute. But also my own story around this was very much like people pleaser as a young child. And I believe that many, I don't know, I shouldn't categorize it as men and women. I think men can be people pleasers as well, but women just taking on patterns from your own family, like taking on my mother's patterns, taking on my grandmother's patterns about being a people pleaser and trying to make everything, make everything work and be sort of try to fix everything. It's a little bit codependent sort of behavior. And I can see myself how I was trying to do that as a child now. Obviously, I don't know that as a child. And also, I feel that ties in a lot with being an empath, so that we understand and feel the environment. You can really pick up everyone's feelings and how everyone's doing, and thinking that we need to be a part of that to fix everyone. So it's kind of a mishmash of everything, isn't it? It could be the conditioning, and then being an empath, feeling that we have to or step into that sort of fixing role when we discover that there's some dysfunction in the family setups and sort of stuff. So that was very much my experience. And as a child, I was this observer, and I was wise beyond my years, and I could really see the dysfunction in everything. And I always tried to soothe everywhere where I could soothe. That meant soothing my mother if she was upset, she had addiction problems as well, and like tried to soothe the situation. I was bullied in school as well, and that was also disempowerment, being not saying no, not putting myself first, like kind of just being scared of even speaking up. So I had to learn early to use my voice, and I actually remember there was a breaking point. I was probably 12 or 13 where I actually decided that if I was going to step into my power, the only thing I could use was my voice, because I couldn't like punch someone really. Well, I probably could have, but I didn't want to do that. And it actually came to me, it felt intuitively, something came to me, and like, you have to use your mouth, like as your speech, as your power. And I found ways at the time, so I was probably 12, 13, to really, I remember there was one bully who used to say things about my appearance, and actually he looked exactly how he used to say to me, how I looked. And I said, well, you're only saying that because you look like that. So what is that makes you feel like you should tell me? Your own insecurities. I found the words for this, and he just couldn't say anything. And so I suppose I used my own intuition of what to say at the time to step into power. That was just like a little incident, right? But so I suppose disempowerment can play out in so many things. It's the people pleasing. It's not saying no when we want to say no, when we're saying yes instead, which I think also is conditioning and things. So what does that look like, as you're coming into spiritual entrepreneurship? Because as you know as well, I love talking about spiritual entrepreneurship and building your business around your spiritual mission and everything. That could potentially also seep over into not having strong boundaries with your clients, for example, and not being empowered enough to believe enough in your, like, the truth that you believe in, and the things that you really want to say, and then holding back on the truth. That could also be something, how it plays out. Not really saying what you want to say in those posts, or those, if you do a video or something, or newsletter, not really saying exactly what it is you want to say, because you're feeling that you need to filter yourself for some reason, because of conditioning. So when we bring this element of empowerment into entrepreneurship, it then starts triggering other things like, oh, what are people going to say about me, or the imposter syndrome, am I good enough, or start triggering visibility fear, start triggering all these things So then we stay small, right? And I always say spiritual entrepreneurship is actually a healing journey, because it truly pushes on all the unhealed stuff in us, so that we can truly step into our spiritual mission. And then I feel that disempowerment is one of them. So leaky boundaries with clients, like having maybe people turning up, like in the beginning, maybe people not wanting to pay the full price and things like that. I had that in the beginning, where it was a bit sort of leaky boundaries around, you know, not so much my worth, but I suppose clarity and confidence about what I was delivering. And so that's kind of part of the journey, I believe. We get tested, you know, on the journey. So disempowerment can look, I mean, you might want to make some notes for yourself what that looks like to you at the moment, and then we can do a little sharing. Or when we do the Q&A later, we can have a little sharing, or you can ask questions about what you come up with. But feel free to make some notes about what disempowerment actually means to you, because it will look different for different people. But I was just covering typical how it could play out. So what happened with me was, so typically I had my soul contract reading, and then that was in 2009, I think, or 2009, yeah. And it was highlighted then for the first time, you are disempowered in this particular way. And I was like, I am. I am. And I was like, okay, how do I overcome this? You know, how do I overcome this part? And it was particularly around actually really owning my spiritual gifts and believing that I could do it as well. So disempowered in my belief around my spiritual power or gifts. And that really rang true to me. So I was like, right, well, we can't have it like this. We need to, how do we fix this? Like, I can't be like that. Like, if I'm gonna go out and change the world, I can't be not believing that I can do it. How do we change this? So that was one of the things, so the disempowerment that came up for me. And continuing my journey, I suppose, was very much about the next step, or the next level of disempowerment was probably feeling that I could have my own community. Like, can I do it on my own without not being on your own sort of thing? But like, can I actually do it? Do I have to hold hands with anyone? You know, can I be a power, you know, in my power and create what I want? And then my next level was so that was like, okay, I can do that. And I had already said, right, okay, I can do this. I'm not shying away from my spiritual powers. I know I'm powerful. And then the more sessions and more clients and more things that I did, it became more and more apparent that it was absolutely fine. You know, I'm good at this. So then the next level was when I had some unhealed witch wound thing, you know, sisterhood wounds coming up. Then I had to heal another layer of like this kind of backstabbing thing happened to me, and jealousy and psychic attacks and all sorts. So I had to kind of really go into the shadow of that. So my next level was like really healing the shadow around the sisterhood wound and persecution wound and things like that. That really was my journey. And then I suppose since then it's been really good, this whole thing about I've done a lot of dark goddess work as well. So the dark goddesses really helps us to step into our power. So if you look at Shakti and Kali and Lilith and the dark feminine, they really can help us to really own all of who we are. Because disempowerment is also about like not feeling like we can be everything that we are, and we're filtering ourselves, while as the dark feminine is saying, well, you should be all of who you are, and you should be happy and feel good about that, whatever that is. You have anger, you have rage, you have these feelings within you which are human, which has been kind of also suppressed and said, right, you can't be like that, because then you're not a good woman. So that's kind of a conditioning as well. So that was my journey through that. And I've done a lot of shadow work around that as well. So like really step into power. So that's the typical journey, how it could happen for someone. And I'm going to show you now a little bit the soul contract, how that's played out for me. And it's different for everyone, but I feel that the disempowerment as such is also collective. You know, it's a collective wounding from us being suppressed. Men are also disempowered in the patriarchy. You know, it's not just the women that has been disempowered in the patriarchy, it's also the men. So it's not just, you know, us. I'm just going to share a little bit the soul contract and explain something that I've, you know, that I did as a part of also my transformation. And it could give you some insights. So I'm going to do that. Oh, that was absolutely not the right one. Now, so if you have not had a soul contract, you might say, oh gosh, what is this? But as we're a little bit out of context now, and I'm not going into how we do the soul contract, I'll just give you the snippets of how this energy works and how I've, you know, how I've changed my life literally with this work, and together with other things that I use as well. So my birth certificate name is Jenny Kristina Louise Andersson. That is a Swedish name. So I'm Swedish born. That's my birth certificate. So that's like a cake. This is the sound of my name. And without going into the details completely, the soul contract is based on the sound of your name. So you'll get different numbers depending on the sound. And this is exactly the numbers that we got here. The disempowerment is here in my spiritual karma, the 10-1. The 10-1 can, in this position, particularly in the karmic position, because that's where the challenge is, would be disempowered, could be bullied in school, could have a masculine wound as well. So father abandoned. So I had a good relationship with my father, but he was divorced with my mother, like, so that I was abandoned by the father, if that makes sense. So it could also be not speaking up, not believing in your own spiritual power and path, because there's a disconnect. So this is exactly, so when I got this described to myself for the first time, exactly how I described to you, I was like, how does this man know all these things about me? So I was like, right, well, how do we fix this? So as I was going deeper into the work, really what we were looking for here was a name optimization. It's a part of unlocking your potential. It's not the only thing. Like, you know, I can't just change my name and then sit back and do nothing. But it's a part of how I've optimized my success, if that makes sense. So then we're looking at powerful numbers like the 9s. So the 9s are the power of the dragon, and we often put them in the talent positions so that the energy of the 9s go into the physical karma and the physical goal positions, and the spiritual karma and spiritual goal positions, and it actually burns through. So if we have a piece of disempowerment here, the 9 starts dissolving the 10-1, and the positive connotations of the 10-1 is stable, standing in your power, connected to God, consciousness, and being fully on your spiritual mission. And that's the result I wanted. So that's just kind of a little snippet of how I've changed my path from disempowerment to empowerment. There's other numbers in here. We don't need to go into detail today. I just wanted to give you a little snippet. But the 13-4 is Christ consciousness, divine flow, abundance, and ascension, literally, and becoming a very good mother, which is one of my goals as well. So I've got 3 of those there in Jenny Lyon, Rainbow Anderson. You can ask questions about this in a minute. That was then also I have a 10-1 in my soul destiny. So the path is a path of a spiritual journey and a spiritual leader. Somebody's here to make change. So I was like, okay, well, how? Now, how do I do this now? This was the conversations a few years ago. So that's my story, like that's a little bit how I've overcome. And obviously, I didn't just change my name. I went into divine healing and I went on goddess retreats. I went to do lots of somatic work and release, trauma release, shadow work. Obviously, I went to have my light body activated. I became a light body surgeon. It's what I do as well. And I take clients through the light body process. So I used lots of different wonderful tools to get to where I am. And then also, I have done a lot of business and marketing as well online, invested thousands of pounds to do what I do now. So it's been an evolutionary journey, but every single time I have loved everything that I've immersed myself in. I have absolutely adored my mentors and teachers. Every time I invest, I feel really happy and elated and like, gosh, what can we do now? So it's something that I will continue doing and just bettering and optimizing and delivering a higher delivery to you guys as well as I evolve. So that's my commitment to myself, commitment to humanity. So here we are today in this new Masterclass talking about it, which was one of the things that I wanted to do from last year. So that's this is kind of a little bit of the story and how I've unlocked myself. So why don't we do a little Q&A now, and maybe you have some questions about your own where you are right now, and maybe you would like some insights on what you could do to move forward. Oh, I'll let you ask questions. Whoever is brave to go first.
So I have to confess that I'm quite baffled because I've never seen any of that before.
Okay, good.
So yes, I think this is all completely out of my normal realm. I don't know anything about it. So
Good.
I don't really know what
we're here
question
to learn, right? Yeah. Did you have anything like in your own experience? What have you experienced around disempowerment or conditioning? Is there anything that you want to share?
I find it really hard to even pin those things down, I guess, because I am a bit of a fixer, I suppose. So if I think that something's not working for me, I go and find the thing. I just haven't experienced this thing. So sometimes I think my disempowerment these days is very short-lived compared to how it used to be.
Sure.
I do think that disempowerment often comes possibly with me from being in quite a negative mindset family. I think my family are all quite negative in their mindset, which I was until I started doing some work in my late 20s. So I think that's the biggest disempowering is when people are constantly negative around you and you take that on, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah, well, of course, we are affected by the people that are around us. So what, I was just asked the questions with the Carrie. Carrie says it's related to human design. No, it's completely unrelated to human design, but the soul contract is used I actually say to my clients, have your soul contract reading, have your human design reading, and look at your astrology if you're interested in astrology as well. And then you'll have a really complete map of your soul. And then we use those tools to navigate for successful outcomes as much as possible. So the answer is no, but human design is valid as well. My question to you, Jenny, is what is it that you did that you started, because you said, oh, I'll started to develop myself, what is it that you did that you feel was working?
So I had postnatal depression with my youngest daughter, my eldest daughter. And when I had my second daughter, I didn't want to do that again. So it was quite a tricky road. And part of the issue was, and this is where I guess I struggle sometimes with the disempowerment thing, is part of the problem is I was banging on the doctor's door every week to try and find the thing that was going to help. And because of that, the doctor constantly downgraded how bad things were, which was really interesting because I wanted to get help and I was looking for help. They dismissed me quite a lot. And my mum was literally calling them going, no, you need to get, she's really not in a great place. And they were like, oh, but she's doing all this stuff. So they put me on CBT, which was horrendous. For me, I really, really did not get on. It probably tailspun me quite far back. And then eventually I had antidepressants. It took me a year and then I came off them, but again, within that process, I was told that it was my fault that I couldn't get medication because I insisted on breastfeeding, but it didn't get to me to the point where I stopped breastfeeding. I was like, no, this is happening and you're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it was quite a battle. And then when I got pregnant with my second daughter, I didn't want to go through this again. And someone mentioned hypnobirthing to me. But where I lived, there was no hypnobirthing stuff, but there was this hypnotherapist. So I went to him and I did a 20-week program of hypnotherapy, NLP, Reiki, and it was such an amazing process. And one of the audio CDs he did for me, it was CDs back then, no kind of phone things or anything, was called Positively Positive. And that was just a big game changer for me, like listening to that CD every single night. Yeah. And in the end, I had a natural delivery after having a cesarean. I didn't have postnatal depression. I had a really good experience, a very positive experience. And that was the start of the journey. And then I did my Reiki 1 and my Reiki 2. And then about 6 years ago, I did my Reiki master training. So, you know, it's those things that I always think, what is there out there that can help? And if that doesn't help, where's the next thing that could help?
Sure. Yeah.
But this is really interesting for me because it's not
a list of things. Yes, the hypnotherapy is amazing because it's obviously on the subconscious, and 95% of your reality is created in the subconscious. So if those programs and those beliefs in your subconscious are not aligned with actually what your critical kind of analytical sort of like a conscious mind is thinking, you're going, my life is misaligned. I want this, but why is this happening? That's in your subconscious. That's why hypnotherapy is such a great, with divine healing, what I do, we also do it. So it's just a different way of doing it, sort of like we're just using it as a healing tool and we go through the subconscious mind. But it's a very important part of our unlocking process, you know, the subconscious mind. So yeah, amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, great. I do NLP now, and it's just
NLP is the same because it's
completely changed.
Yeah, exactly.
The way I think about it. I mean, what was interesting is when I went back with my second daughter when she was born, and the doctor that I had at the time, she went, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry." She said, "I can see you're a completely different person." I had no idea because she'd never met me before I was depressed. Yeah. So it was very, again, an empowering moment for me to go, I wasn't wrong, you were wrong.
Exactly. So there's like validation, isn't it, as well? Amazing, thank you. So anyone, Hannah, you said you couldn't hear anything. Can you still not hear? That's she can now. Yeah, because that probably would have been your speaker, you see, because we can hear everything in here. How about Kerry and Anne and Pragati? Do you want to ask a couple of questions? Anything that came up?
Hi.
Hi.
I guess, well, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that. It's so interesting to think about how we are sort of encoded with things that, you know, we're here to deal with and navigate. And I've been thinking a lot about disempowerment around finances. That's been my main kind of, I feel like I'm dealing with it on an ancestral level.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't done, you know, a lot of the work like somatic therapy. I feel like that's kind of something that I know that I have a lot of trauma stored in my body from things that I've been through, not necessarily related to finances, but related to self-worth, basically. And I think that's, tied in though with what's going on with me financially.
Yes.
And, so I guess I'm wondering, if there's, if you can't go on goddess retreats right now and you can't.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, sure. I get it. So another part of my expertise, money. So I shall answer your questions now. So first of all, when it comes to money is just another dysfunction, if you like, that we have to heal. So let's say there is addiction, there is poverty mindset, there is lack, there's fear mongering, whatever it is in the patterns of the family. Money is just one of the other things. So be okay with that. It's like just one of the things that we want to address to become more whole, really. So if you can kind of be like, I'm okay, I have this thing and I can resolve it. And I'm now going to give you some ideas what to do. Do you think you could do that? Do you think you could be like, actually, it's quite common?
Yes.
Yeah. So that you not feel shame around it, because this is another thing. We can often feel shame around things that we think we shouldn't have. And especially as we go on into entrepreneurship, and if we've been in employment, all of a sudden all these patterns will come up around worth and how much we should charge and all those things. While as before we've been employed and we get a salary and we may ask for a pay rise, but it's like we can go to work and feel really shit one day, but we'll still earn the same money. But as soon as we feel like that within our entrepreneurship, we think we're not worth what we are showing up for, which is like a real bad head doer. So let's dive into the money thing. What I really suggest that you do. So by the way, I've done all the money rewiring. I did all that in 2018. I know where you're coming from. My dad and his side was all in a very sort of like poverty line in the ancestral. So I did all that work, rewiring. I did all my money stories. I healed so much of it. A step into wealth as a spiritual leader as well was like the next level, because like to charge a lot of money for your spiritual work was like, whoa, what is she doing that for? And I'm sure still people talk behind my back for what I charge sometimes, but I don't really care, because like I know how good it is, right? So anyway, that is a really common thing. So what I would suggest you do now, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can start with that are free. And then if you want to go further, we can talk about it another time, but I have a couple of money programs. But the first thing is, do a list, and this is for all of you, by the way. Do a list of from age 0 to this age now. So maybe you want to call it 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15 or something. Yeah. So you block the age groups and try to locate every single negative memory that you have around money. Obviously 0 to 5, you're not going to maybe remember. However, you may know from your mother telling you that you had to live on benefits because, I don't know, dad was sick or something, or you had to move 3 times when you were a baby. Maybe you know this, but you can't remember. You need to put it in. So make a list. So this is like your journaling prompts. You can go away and do that. Once the list is complete, take your time. I want you to write a silver lining in each negative memory. So if the memory was, if you say, like, you do remember your mum and dad argued about money, then the silver lining of that would be, I, as a child, learned to understand that money could be something that parents argue about, and I now decide to make a different story for me and my family. So the silver lining is that I learned that that's not the type of thing I want to program my children with. Or if you not have children and a family, what I don't want to program the people I'm with, right? So the silver lining is always something positive of the negative experience. That's step one. That's going to take you a few hours. Do you want more work? Okay, so that's the one. The next thing is not so much about doing the work. This is about coming up with, say, 5 beliefs that you feel are really strong in you, like money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are bad people. I mean, you can probably come up with 20, but let's say call them 5. And then once those beliefs are up in the surface of your mind, you're going, actually, that's absolute BS because it's not true. My neighbor is a millionaire and he's lovely and he's not a bad person. So this is a collective belief. That negative belief around money will block your wealth. Okay, so all the negative beliefs in your subconscious mind that you can bring to the surface and then go, actually, that is not true. Instead, I believe that rich people are generous and loving people. You need to just change the belief. So that's another sort of like doing session. The third thing is that we have, for some reason, put together self-worth with money. For some reason. It's actually got nothing to do with each other. Money was invented because people wanted to trade. It's got a functional, masculine structure to it. Us as human has put an emotion and feeling attached to it. Money itself is a clean structure that holds structure in our life. And if you can just go, actually, it's holding structure. The more money I have, I can buy a lovely house and a home for my family. I can travel, I can invest, I can employ people in my company. It's got nothing to do with your worth. It's just a structure that holds your life. So if you can come away and just go, actually, it's got nothing to do, it's just BS, again, created by man. Somewhere, somebody said, oh, well, you know, how much you're worth. It's got nothing to do with money. Money was invented. So if you can just go, actually, it's got nothing to do with my worth. It's an absolute, I have, as much as I've got a right to breathe clean air and eat healthy food, I have the same rights to access as much money as I want. So if you can kind of almost have a clinical, as a matter of fact, approach to it, you will then go, okay, well, I need 10K this month. Okay, so how can I go and get 10K? Right. So forget about the emotions about that. Just go, okay, so let's be really practical in our masculine energy about it and go, okay, how can I go and create 10K? Oh, if I created a 2K program that I can get 5 people in, that's 10K. How can I do that? Okay, let's see how I can do that. And then actually think like that about money. And so you've got to be creative how to make money. You've got to be thinking, right, how can I change the feelings I have around it? All those things, that was just a snippet of how you can start. But shifting negative beliefs, changing the story of what it actually is, and then disconnect the emotions to it and actually look at it as just as a structure. And have more of a masculine approach to money. Now, the receiving bit is the feminine flow, like you're receiving back. If you push the energy to get money, then the universe can't pour it in. So you can't push to get it. You've got to say, right, I want this, and this is how I'm going to do it. Then you lean back. Take action, then you lean back. That's actually the dance between manifesting, creating and manifesting, not pushing. That was a crash course.
Right. You know, thank you. I have actually done all of that.
Oh, okay. So, oh my God, you've done all of that. So what's happening now?
I think there's some receiving blocks. I don't know. I mean, there's something, well, there's a lot of things going on. I think part of it is just visibility, and there's a lot of sort of, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and it's been really a journey.
Mm. So apart from, so you've done the work, so do you have solid offers that you promote all the time?
I don't promote them all the time. That's the thing. Yeah.
So if you okay, so it's
Well,
about
I have a
using
new,
Mm.
I'm sort of stepping into more of my spiritual gifts, and that's kind of, I think there's, you said earlier about how can I charge money for this, and that's sort of where I'm.
So what's your expertise? Like, what is it that you do as an entrepreneur?
So I've been practicing saying this more often, but I'm actually an award-winning photographer, even though my bank account doesn't show that. But I've created these workshops and programs that are about how to use photography as a tool for emotional resilience, how other people can use photography as a tool for emotional resilience, and mindfulness, and kind of it's a whole framework. And I'm really excited about it, and I get really jazzed up when I talk about it. And I've created like a 6-week program, but I still haven't invited anybody to it. And I've actually been working on it, in sort of on the side, or I've been for 3 years.
Wow. So you need to get this program off the ground and step into really owning that program. Is it still aligned? Do you feel the program is still aligned? Do you need to upgrade it now because it's been a little while?
I think it is still aligned. It's oh, thank you. I've done a couple of beta groups too, and I did one workshop that was a paid one. It wasn't a high ticket or anything, but I sort of, well, I'm struggling to just pay my bills, so I'm like, well, I have to get photo work, as a photographer, because I keep thinking that's what makes sense. I can do I have like a $2,200 package to do branding photo, kind of thing for entrepreneurs and business owners. And so I'm like, oh, I've got to, really step into that right now. And like you said, like I actually do need to make 10K. So I should, do that. But yet I have this 6-week program that I put a price on it, $1,100. And I just don't really feel like I think it's partly because it's new to me. I'm not a I'm not a speaker or a natural born, well, people have said that I'm good at it, but I'm not a teacher, I guess, all those sort of things that you put on yourself about having excuses of why you're not good enough and all that. But I think part of it is just I get confused and unclear about where to put my attention and what to market, so then I just don't. That's sort of what happens to me.
So it does sound like there is this like indecisiveness in the energy as well. And that creates indecisive results. So this is about you stepping in to the leadership role in what you really want to share with the world, whether that is a 6-week program, or you're a high-end photographer, or you're, whatever offers you have, you're really going for them and you're really happy to share the photos, you're excited about it. That decisive energy creates motion. And I believe that when you can be in that space most of the time, it just means that then you have mastered most of your internal dialogue blocks, because they don't come up anymore. And that's where the deep inner work comes in with all the things like, I mean, for example, Hannah, I'm sure I think you've got the Ascension Clearing Kit, Hannah, haven't you? It's an ongoing thing. It's something I encourage all my clients to do, just to keep clearing those programs, keep clearing them, because it's a part of becoming more whole and just being more in that decisive and full energy all the time. Because the thing that we don't want in entrepreneurship is this up, down, up, down, up, down, because then it's like gives this inconsistent results, and then we blame ourselves and feel shameful around it and stuff. So you can totally do this. Like what you have there is amazing. It sounds like,
well, and if you heard my story, you'd be like, who owns the rights to your movie? Because I've been through, speaking of postpartum things, I had postpartum psychosis. I had like just been through the ringer with mental health. And I know that the reason that I had that journey for 16 years is because this is why, like, this is my purpose. I'm supposed to help people with
it's a
this.
part of your story then.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, but I do think that people, at least I think I associate, I guess there's a few things going on. Like, you know, sometimes when things come easily, you're like, how can you charge money for something that comes so easily? Like, you know, that's something maybe isn't that complicated. It might be simple, you know, or when things are also, when you have to become more vulnerable and visible, where you have to kind of start sharing your story that might not be so easy to talk about. I mean, I'm an open book, but I haven't really been somebody that wants to be in the spotlight either.
Sure. I mean, you can still be kind of an introvert, but still share. You can do more evergreen content and things like that.
Right.
That could be so that you don't have to be out there all the time. You know, you could think of things, if you feel like a little introverted, you're still happy to share, but you don't have to do it like publicly. It could be more of intimate space. So you might do some blogging or sharing more of a story in writing as opposed to show, you know, there's so many ways we can. So before we finish, so thank you, Kerry. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, stay till the end because I wanted to just round up for everyone as well. But Hannah, did you have anything you wanted to say? Or Anne, would you like to say anything or ask questions?
I found what you showed us really fascinating because I'm new to your work.
Yeah.
But I have been working with a coach for the last year to get to the point to integrate the 3 different things that I'm good at to actually put them out in the world. And I find that very difficult as an entrepreneur. Like this is a whole new world.
What do you do? What's the niche or?
Yes, I'm a naturopathic practitioner and I specialize in fertility, particularly in getting women and men really revitalized and healthy before conceiving a baby. So more the newer aspect of preconception care to prevent pregnancy, you know, negative pregnancy outcomes or postpartum depression and a lot of other things. Yeah.
It's a huge area.
It is. And I just released a bundle. You know, I wrote for 3 months and then I put together all the stuff that's been in my brain and all the things that I use and made it very practical. But of course, without marketing it a ton, nobody knows about it. And I also do energy work. And it's been a little bit of, you know, how do I integrate these 2 things? Because energy work is, you know, kind of out there for some people, but incredibly effective when it comes to fertility because it's a spiritual act of bringing in a soul.
Yes.
But still, as a naturopath, because I train in Germany, there's this huge divorce.
They've got that scientific side, haven't they, there? Very much.
So that's me.
So marketing really is the funnel between your client and like how you get to the results for them, right? So you already have this amazing thing that you're explaining inside that container how you help people. So the missing piece is actually the marketing and how to funnel people through. Yeah. So so now you got me going because this is another topic, right? What I feel is I don't know your areas where you are, but what you want to say to yourself is like, okay, I'm going to stick to a couple of strategies and I'm going to go for them. So you have to ask yourself questions like, okay, so for example, if we did a soul contract, that would be quite easy to look at where the blocks are and what would be most natural for you. If you then had a human design reading, and let's say you were a generator, you're meant to respond to things, like there's another piece of knowledge, how to show up. Those things would be really useful just to kind of get the foundation as a spiritual entrepreneur of how you want to behave online for minimum output, for maximum receiving kind of thing. Yeah. So that's two pieces. So like you might want to consider those. The other thing is when it comes to messaging, anything. So if let's say you decide, okay, I'm doing LinkedIn and YouTube. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to ignore the other channels because I want to focus on these two. Then make sure you do them really well and that there is a strategic thought behind everything. So like if you said, oh, I'm going to start creating some videos around fertility and how I do work, then there should be a funnel that they should go into a freebie, or there should be something that you keep collecting your email addresses, right? And repurposing the content and things like that. And if you were talking to LinkedIn, you probably wouldn't maybe talk to LinkedIn, maybe, oh, I'm not sure, would you do that there? I'm not sure. You could probably do that, but I'm not sure who you would talk to because there's more private people as opposed to business people. So maybe you probably go Facebook and Instagram, perhaps. But then on Instagram, let's say Instagram feels like a good place actually for that. And you would probably talk to the women more than the men, and then the men will come along the woman, right? So this is kind of, so then again, you want to be sure that, let's say you do the YouTube shorts, you want to make sure you make them on Instagram and then post them on YouTube as well. It's like, you just got to have a strategy behind everything you do so that you make sure you do it well and then funnel them into the places where you want them to go. Now, when it comes to marketing, I talk about intellectual marketing and I talk about intuitive marketing. We have also reactive and bro marketing out there, which we don't want to engage with, which is like scarcity, too much scarcity and stuff like that. So I teach intellectual marketing and intuitive marketing, which intellectual is when the client takes some time to consider, which most people probably would do when they're doing something with you. They will also, because they're thinking, right, how is this going to help me? What is this product going to do to help me? Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I have researched this. Yes, I want to do it, kind of thing. Then you have the intuitive piece where they're like, oh my God, I love Anne's energy. She's so beautiful. Like she shares from her heart. I just know she can help me. I don't care what she's qualified in. I can feel it. That's the intuitive piece. This is why when you show up and do your posts and lives or whatever you decide to do, that you do it in your true authentic energy. So don't worry about the scare tactics and all those things. You want to just do it in like intellectual, intuitive marketing and just trust that that's enough. There's a little bit of, you want to do a little bit of urgency on things. Like, for example, I have a program with the Light Body starting in September. Well, the urgency is that we join by September. Like, that's the date, right? With the Connected Soul Club, which is my business membership, there is no urgency, actually. It is an intuitive and intellectual decision by the client to join, often an intuitive one. And they just go, I just know I want to be in it. I know you're going to teach me everything. And there's no urgency because people can go in and leave when they want. So there's absolutely no urgency or scarcity. So that maybe is helpful. Obviously, I can't teach you everything I know in like 5 minutes, but hopefully that was kind of like maybe promising.
Yes, that was very nice. And I'm a manifesting generator, so.
Oh yeah, sorry. So I didn't know that, but yeah. So there will be this piece where you are a manifester, so you can actually go, right, I'm creating this. But also with manifesting generators, I have a piece on that inside the membership, but I talk about, like, I've got some articles that I've brought in from an expert, and she's talking about that the manifesting generator, you want to respond and then create, but there's also a research element. Like, you want to sort of research and ask questions and see how they respond, and then you act. So it's a little different from the generator. Okay. You can ask your audience, do polls and stuff. I do polls still sometimes, but I'm not really meant to do it. I'm meant to just receive the intuitive nudge, download it, and go, that's what you need to do, Jenny, and then just go and creative and just put it out there. And it always works, actually.
And just a quick question about the first thing you presented about the names and the numbers, and I noticed the angelic symbols. So is it just by the name that you're called, or is it the name that you're born with?
Yes, so it's by the name that you're born with.
Okay.
And it's your birth certificate name. As you get married or change or move country, whatever the vibration change, it's like putting an icing on your cake. So your experience change. So you have a new set of numbers then. So if you look at my name, so it's Jenny Kristina Louise Andersson. That was my Swedish name. And then when I moved here, I became Jenny Andersson because I was Jenny. I was not had all them names by day, every day, right? So Jenny Andersson, and that was a slightly different vibration. And then I changed my name to Jenny Lion Rainbow Andersson. So there was different experiences. And it really truly was. As soon as I changed my name to Jenny Lion Rainbow Andersson, oh my God, like the power, the clarity, everything that came through at the same time. Plus I did all the other things. So I was like, holy mother. I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, so I believe that the soul contract is an amazing, well, I know it's an amazing tool to just have there, you know, as you would look maybe at your astrology, or you might look at your human design and get a little bit of a top up, you know. They're just great tools to get us aligned with more insight and you know, just, yeah, basically just getting it done easier than struggling on our own, literally. So,
Makes sense. Yeah.
did you have any other questions on that, Anne?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And what you do is amazing, by the way, because like this fertility thing, gosh, the world needs to just slow down, receive more, and get pregnant. Like, literally. Anyone having more
detox first? Yeah, but yes.
What's that?
They have to detox first.
Yeah, detox. Yes, a lot of toxins. Yeah, I totally believe that. Been on many detoxes. Yeah. Amazing. Love this. So anyone having questions before we round off?
I had a question, Jenny.
Hi, Pragati.
Hi. I don't know what the root cause of my issues are, and I've got quite a few. I've studying the dark feminine. I know that when you're not connected with male provision, and God is a male, then you don't attract money. You don't attract fulfilled relationships. So I understand this. I also know that everything is a reflection of me. So my current reality I've created. But I don't know what the root cause of lack in areas of my life are.
Well, look, it's a combination. If I looked at your soul contract, we can see some traces where it comes from, but it's probably also a soul karmic sort of choice in a way to actually really come into abundance, come into power, come into all the things that you don't feel like you are right now. And that's actually the whole point. So we get challenged with everything that we don't want, so we can create the opposite. And although that sounds a bit, well, why would I want that? Well, sometimes we're just getting those challenges because so that we can change it, so we can actually really show the universe how much we want it. But without looking at your soul contract and without going deeper into sessions, I couldn't really tell you exactly, you know, what's, you know, what it is. But just know that you can change it, Pragati. If you have created this reality that you're in right now, you can also change it. And that's a really powerful knowing.
Can you give me a thought to run with? Okay, so I can change it, and then do I go into my masculine and think, okay, how am I going to change this? How am I going to? Yeah.
You have to take action. So, like, to change ourselves, we really want to lean back and fall into our feminine to receive what it is that we need to do, and then take massive action. That really is how it happens. And whether that, and you can still, somebody asked me, how can you be taking massive action without hustling? I said, well, you can still go and take massive action and then go and chill out. You don't have to hustle. You don't have to be in the energy of hustling and pushing when you're making tracks. You can do it in a soft, nice energy and go, oh, I'm sending these emails out. Oh, I'm connecting with these 10 people. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, now I'm creating this. And then you can go off and do the other things you want to do. So you can still get a lot of things done in a non-hustling. Trini, can you turn off the in a non-hustling energy, which I think is the magic actually. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Okay, that was the last question. So I just wanted to share a little bit with you the few things that I do in my business that you could maybe want to consider. So just a little screen share. It would take about 1 minute, and then I'm going to let you all go. So soul contract is something that I do, but also, so soul contract reading, if you wanted a soul contract reading, it's £444. This is a 90-minute to a 2-hour reading, but it's actually an asset. You keep it and go back and listen to it many, many times. It's something that is kind of an asset almost to your business. And if you want me to look at your business as well, I can do that as well, because we run the business names through the software as well, so we can see how it's aligned and what maybe needs some tweaking, etc. I have the Soul Club. So this is for spiritual entrepreneurs who really want to build their business from a place of authenticity, power, visionary, authentic marketing, intuitive marketing, creating amazing programs, like the whole thing. It's really everything in there. Pragati is actually a member of the Connect the Soul Club, and I think she could maybe say that there is plenty of things in there. So the club is really there for anyone who wants to build a business. I also do light body activations, which are, so we spoke about in the beginning of this call about going into subconscious and changing that with different tools. So I use divine healing, and I use shamanic work and energy work to change the energy and change the subconscious and create new beliefs, etc. But then the light body work itself is actually a state-of-the-art awakening process. It doesn't address the emotional trauma or toxicity or programming as itself, but what it does, it unlocks and uncovers through the process the core wounding in someone. So it means that the deepest healing occurs through this program. It's a very deep process, and it's for, I would say really it's for people who wants to heal on the deepest level and become the absolute fullest potential of who they are, that they could ever imagine. So it's a very deep healing process. I do include divine healing and a lot of energy healing and reprogramming in the program as well, so that we can support the awakening. But yeah, so I wanted to share that. That's my gifts to the world to unlock the world and help the people. I forgot to say this. I have an absolutely delusional vision of awakening like 1 billion people, not just me on my own, but together as a collective through energy work and through the magic that we are here to share by 2030. But I'm not attached to when, really. So yeah, so I'm very excited about this. That's it. That's all from me. So if you're interested in any of this, let me know. Any other questions before we finish? You're good? All right. Actually, we're on time because we started late as well. It's like 10 minutes late, like right on time, 1 hour. I'm really happy about this. Thank you for staying till the end. And we run one next month, and it's going to be from barren to fruitful. So I'll just give you a little sort of, these are duality topics we're doing. So from barren to fruitful, and how I've come from barren to fruitful. And I'll share with you as well again how my journey was. Okay, lovelies. See you soon. If you need anything, you know where I am. Bye, ladies. Take care.